Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zishan Rizvi from Rehan AI Teachers Training Institute, Batch 21. Today, I'm going to discuss with ChatGPT how to write better and communicate your ideas clearly. Thank you very much, GPT. Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Zeshan. I'm glad to be part of your discussion. Whenever you're ready, just fire off your first question and I'll give you a focused answer with examples to help you apply it right away.
Excellent. My first question in this regard is what does clear writing mean to you in one sentence?
Clear writing to me means expressing your ideas in a way that is direct, simple, and easy for your audience to grasp without unnecessary jargon or complexity.
Good. Do you think simplicity makes writing stronger or weaker, and why?
I think simplicity makes writing stronger because it removes barriers between you and your reader. When your language is straightforward, your audience can follow along, understand your message quickly, and trust your ideas.
All right. What is one habit that instantly improves clarity in your writing?
One powerful habit is to always revise your work aloud. When you read your writing out, you catch awkward phrasing, jargon, or sentences that don't flow, so you can tighten them up and clarify your meaning.
Okay. Have you ever misunderstood a message because it wasn't written clearly? What happened?
Yes, actually, I once read a project brief that used vague terms like soon and adjustments, and I completely misjudged the timeline. It delayed the work, so I learned to ask for specifics and define terms clearly.
Great. How do you simply complex ideas without losing meaning?
The key is to break the idea down into smaller parts. Use analogies, everyday language, and focus on just one point at a time. Test your simplified version by explaining it to someone else and adjust if it feels off.
Okay. Do you believe better thinking leads to better writing? Why or why not?
Absolutely, yes. When you think more clearly, you naturally organize your thoughts better. Strong thinking gives you a solid foundation, so your writing is purposeful, logical, and truly impactful.
How do you organize your thoughts before you start writing?
I usually start with a quick outline, just jotting down the main points I want to make. Then I group related ideas, decide on the order, and sometimes even summarize each section. That way, I have a clear map before I start writing.
What is your process for turning ideas into structured content?
I start by identifying the core message I want to convey. Then I gather supporting ideas and examples. After that, I arrange them logically, usually moving from a broad introduction to specific points and finally a conclusion. Once I have a structure, I flesh out each part, focusing on clarity and flow.
Do you outline first or just start writing and refine later?
I usually outline first because it keeps me on track and helps avoid getting lost in details. But if I'm stuck, I might free write a bit just to get the ideas flowing, and then I'll organize them after.
How do you decide what to include and what to leave out?
I focus on what directly supports the main message or goal. If something feels like a tangent or doesn't serve the reader's understanding, I cut it out. Then I make sure each piece is necessary and moves the argument forward.
All right. How does your audience influence the way you write?
The audience really shapes the tone, examples, and even the vocabulary I use. For a professional audience, I keep it formal and precise. For a general or younger audience, I simplify and add relatable examples.
Okay. Do you change your tone depending on who you are communicating with?
Yes, I do. I adjust the tone based on the context. So, with a formal audience, I stay professional and polished. And with a casual audience, I keep it more relaxed and conversational.
Okay. What is more important, being informative or being engaging?
I'd say they're both crucial, but it depends on the purpose. If the goal is to teach or explain something, being informative is the foundation. Then layering in engagement, like a story, a question, or a vivid example, keeps people hooked and helps them remember.
How do you make sure your message connects emotionally with readers?
I connect emotionally by using specific relatable examples and showing how the topic impacts real people. I also pay attention to tone so I can mirror the feelings I want to evoke, whether that's hope, curiosity, or concern.
Excellent. What is the biggest mistake people make when writing for others?
One of the biggest mistakes is assuming the reader knows what you mean, so they skip steps, use too much jargon, or leave out context. The fix is always stepping back, asking, does this make sense to someone unfamiliar? And filling in those gaps.
Okay. What is one writing skill you are currently trying to improve?
Right now, I'm really working on making my openings stronger, grabbing the reader's attention right from the start. I'm experimenting with vivid hooks and a bit of suspense to keep them engaged.
Okay. Uh, can you give any example in this regards?
Sure, for instance, instead of starting with a broad statement like communication is important, I might open with something like, imagine walking into a room and realizing no one understands you. What if every word you said opened that door? That kind of hook pulls them in and sparks curiosity.
Excellent. How often do you edit or rewrite your work and why?
I edit and rewrite at least 2 or 3 times. After a first draft, I step back, then come back with fresh eyes. I do this because each revision improves clarity, flow, and impact, so every edit makes it stronger.
What role does feedback play in becoming a better writer?
Feedback is absolutely critical. It gives you an outside perspective on what works and what doesn't. By listening to others, whether it's peers or readers, you catch blind spots, refine your voice, and grow as a writer.
What tools are or techniques help you communicate more effectively?
I rely a lot on active reading, looking for places where sentences feel clunky, and also tools like readability checkers or even reading my work backward to focus just on the structure. Plus, I often practice improvising ideas verbally to test if they land.
How do you overcome writer's block or lack of clarity?
When I hit a block, I usually step away for a bit, take a walk, or brainstorm in a free-form way. I also try free writing, just dumping thoughts on the page without worrying about perfection. That usually loosens things up and brings clarity back.
Okay. Has social media improved or harmed the way we communicate?
I think it's a bit of both. On one hand, it gives us a huge platform to share ideas quickly and reach diverse audiences. On the other, it can oversimplify messages or promote shallow engagement. So it really depends on how we use it.
Do shorter format tweets, captions make us better or worse writer?
They can be a double edged sword. On one hand, they push you to be concise and intentional, which is a great skill. But if we rely too much on them, we might lose nuance or depth. So balance is key.
Okay. And how do you keep your message clear in a world of short attention spans?
I focus on one core idea at a time, use simple language and front load the key message. I also use formatting like bullet points or bold so the most important parts stand out quickly.
And what is the balance between creativity and clarity in digital content?
I think the balance is about using creativity to draw the reader in, but keeping clarity so the message doesn't get lost. So you can use vivid language, metaphors, or unexpected examples, but anchor them to clear, simple explanations.
Okay. And what is one tip you would give someone who wants to express their ideas more confidently?
I'd say know your core message inside and out, be specific about what you want to say, then practice saying it out loud or writing it a few times. The more familiar you are, the more confident your delivery will be.
Great. Thank you very much, GPT. You have really gave me a say, very clear and concise writing better and communication. My ideas more clearly through this discussion. and hopefully I will touch base with you with some new questions, new topic, new ideas. So let me and my audience permit to say bye to you. Have a very wonderful day. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Zaishan. I'm really glad I could help. Thank you for the thoughtful questions, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon. Take care and have a great evening.